Hello and welcome to the Big Picture. It's the 32nd day of curfew in the Kashmir Valley, following the killing of the young separatist leader Burhan Wani by the security forces. 58 people have died so far and over 3,000 injured. Over 100 have lost their eyes or have been badly damaged by the pellets used by the security forces. The situation, which was earlier confined to South Kashmir, has spread to North also. After nearly a month of silence, Prime Minister Narendra Modi broke it yesterday when he invoked the name of his predecessor, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and pledged to take the path that was taken by him. Seeking a dialogue with people of Jammu and Kashmir, Modi said that the dialogue will be on the basis of Insaniyat, Jamhuriyat and Kashmiriyat that Vajpayee had spoken about. Meanwhile, the day-long discussion on the issue in the Rajya Sabha today saw opposition members demanding a political dialogue and process to be started immediately. We will discuss today what was the path which Vajpayee had taken and if that is where the solution to the present crisis in Kashmir lies. Also, what has happened to the various suggestions and recommendations made so far for a peaceful solution to the Kashmir problem. To discuss this, I have with me Wajahat Habibullah, former chairman, National Commission for Minorities, on the phone line from Lucknow; Vinod Sharma, political editor, Hindustan Times; Vijay Raina, President, Delhi Kashmiri Samiti; and on the phone line from Srinagar is Syed Altaf Hussain, a senior journalist. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Habibullah, you must be familiar with this, what happened during the time of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, now that he is being invoked again, the kind of approach which he had taken as far as Kashmir was concerned. You think that is where the solution lies today, and what was that approach exactly?
Well, you see, the solution, he had not come to a solution, but he had really taken a lead in coming and working towards a solution. There were two aspects of this. One was, of course, he reached out to Pakistan. We know about that, his very dramatic visit, his visit to the Minar of Pakistan. And, of course, we know what happened then in Kargil. But then he reached out also to the Kashmiri leadership and the separatist leadership. And the words that he used particularly were the words of Insaniyat. And he was a very eloquent speaker. He was also a great poet, apart from being a statesman. And this call for Insaniyat, resolution of Insaniyat, was resounded all over Kashmir. Even now, even today, with all this hatred and violence, you will find that when you speak to Kashmiris, they will speak with that with affection. But it is not only what he said which is important. He set up an institutional framework. Mr. R.K. Sharma was, of course, at that time his pointsman, and Mr. R.K. Sharma associated me also with working with him on approaching the separatist leadership, bringing them to the table. And we do know that both the Prime Minister and his Deputy Prime Minister, who was then the Home Minister, Mr. L.K. Advani, actually addressed these issues with them. And he had on his staff, his principal security advisor was Mr. Dulat, who has been the head of RAW and was fully conversant with the situation inside Kashmir. So that is, in fact, the tradition of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It was not simply statements, it was not simply his eloquence, it was the institutional framework that he has set up to bring into dialogue all sections of the Kashmiri leadership, the mainstream leadership, of course, which was part of the National Conference, as part of the NDA, and the separatist leadership, reaching out to them, assuring them, the objective being to assure them that we were friends, not enemies.
Okay. We are now joined in by Mr. A.S. Dulat. Dulat is a former RAW chief, whom Mr. Habibullah just mentioned about. Mr. Dulat, the Vajpayee formula, which the Prime Minister has also invoked yesterday, saying that we'll follow the same process. First, what was that process? How did it come about? You were quite familiar with what happened then.
Well, the Vajpayee formula was one of engagement, and he had a belief that this permanent confrontation with Pakistan should end, and that in Kashmir we must move forward. It was a gradual process, but he went about it very systematically. To begin with, he said we must have free and fair elections in Kashmir. And the 2002 election was a very good election. It was regarded as free and fair not only by people in the rest of the country, but even in Kashmir and internationally.
Right.
Observers who came there said that, yes, this was a good, free and fair election. And the result was unexpected, but that's a part of the free and fair election. And after that, he also agreed to engage with the separatists. In between, we should not forget that he approved of engagement also with the militant, the Hizbul Mujahideen.
Hizbul Mujahideen.
The, Majid Dar faction of the Hizbul Mujahideen. And on his own initiative, on the occasion of Ramzan, he called for a unilateral ceasefire. So this is all a part of the Vajpayee story. And I would see it as smart power.
You'd see it as a
Smart power.
smart. Okay. Mr. Rana,
Yes.
what is it that you people are looking for? Now that the Prime Minister is talking about that, you think that some kind of a solution based or a process based on what Mr. Vajpayee had started will be possible in the present circumstances in Kashmir?
First of all, I would say we should not talk that Mr. Burhan Wani is a young leader of Kashmir separatists. He was not leader. He was only a militant. He was attacking Indian forces there, and he was attacking to army, and he was the main agent of Pakistan.
That's your point of view?
But as far as we are concerned, Kashmiri Pandit are concerned, we should not say he was young leader of separatists.
He was young. He was just 25 years old.
Yes, I agree, but he was not a leader of separatists. He was a militant only. Second thing,
He was a leader of militants, okay.
no, he was not leader of militant.
Okay,
he was
that's
a
your
killer.
point of view,
He was
that
a
is not-
killer. He was a killer. We
Yes.
can say he was a killer.
You can say that. It's your point of view.
As far as Modi ji is concerned, he has today, yesterday, he has announced that Vajpayee ji's path will be adopted. Yes, we are also with that policy. But see, last 25 साल से या 27 साल से आज भी तक कश्मीरी पंडितों के बारे में कुछ नहीं सोचा. तो अगर कोई भी डायलॉग वहाँ के लोकल से सिविल सोसाइटी से किया जाएगा वो हमें एक्सेप्टेबल होगा, या कश्मीरी पंडितों के साथ किया जाएगा वो हमें एक्सेप्टेबल होगा. मगर जब हम बात करेंगे तो और सेपरेटिस्ट से बात करेंगे जिनको पाकिस्तान शायद दे रहा है और पाकिस्तान उनको वहाँ पे पीछे से क्या बोलते हैं इसको पिंच कर रहा है, तो उनसे बात करना मेरे हिसाब से मोदी जी के लिए ये शोभा नहीं दे जाता है. और वाजपेयी जी ने जब स्टार्ट किया था, उन्होंने मेरे सीनियर ने अभी बोला था कि वाजपेयी जी ने 2002 में इलेक्शन प्रोसेस स्टार्ट की, बड़ा अच्छा हुआ. मगर पिछले 27 साल में मैंने देखा है कि हालत वहाँ की डे बाय डे खराबी हो रही है. जो कश्मीरी जो सेपरेटिस्ट है, सेपरेटिस्टों की कॉल से वहाँ के लोग मर रहे हैं इस समय, वहाँ के जवान मर रहे हैं इस समय. और वहाँ पे पिछले 32 दिनों से कर्फ्यू चल रहा है और 27 दिन से कश्मीरी माइग्रेंट एम्प्लॉई इस समय धरने पे बैठे हैं जम्मू में. उनके बारे में कहीं सोचा नहीं था हम सेपरेटिस्टों से बात करने, ये मेरे समझ से बाहर है.
Okay. So, let me get Mr. Altaf Hussain. Mr. Altaf Hussain, what is the situation there? You know, how has the statement of the Prime Minister been received in Kashmir?
Well, it has been welcomed by the governing coalition here, the People's Democratic Party, of which Mahbub Mufti is the president. She is the chief minister. Her party has welcomed it, and the BJP has no reason not to welcome it. So, and I spoke to a separatist leader, a leader of the Hurriyat Congress, Maulvi Abbas Ansari, a short while ago, and he also he's keenly watching how developments happen in the next few days. How is Mr. Modi follows up on his own statement, what initiative he takes. So far, he has only spoken of this insane democracy, which he had done earlier also in November. But now what he actually does, and that is being watched keenly.
Okay. Vinod, where do we go from here? Where does the government go from here? This statement made by the Prime Minister yesterday, and then what next?
Well, statement indeed is welcome. It has come after a long silence. It's a bit belated. but better late than never. You see, the basic difference between the personality of Prime Minister Vajpayee and Prime Minister Modi is as follows. That Prime Minister Vajpayee could establish a degree of trust for himself, his personality, in Kashmir and also in Pakistan. Remember that his hand of friendship speech, consequent to which he went to attend the SAARC summit, came in Kashmir. Now, this was not an acceptance on the part of Mr. Vajpayee that Kashmir belongs to Pakistan. It was a very, very pragmatic move that had the support from people on either side of LOC. That here was a man who, after being betrayed in Kargil, consequent to his bus ride to Lahore, is still persistent with his efforts at peace. You know, the Minare-Pakistan visit of Mr. Vajpayee was a paradigm shift in the ideological positioning of the Sangh Parivar. That memorial is a memorial to the Pakistan movement. And consequent to that, he gave a speech in the governor's house. I was present there. I was hearing him. My friend Vivek Karju was sitting next to him. He was Joint Secretary, IPA. And he said that when I was going there in the morning, somebody tried to dissuade me from my party. It was later turned out it was V.K. Malhotra, who was part of the delegation. That don't go there. If you go there, Pakistan pe aapki mohar lag jayegi. And what he said, you know, मैंने कहा अजीब बात है, पाकिस्तान को मेरी मोहर क्या जरूरत है, पाकिस्तान की अपनी मोहर है जो चल रही है. Now, the question here is of reducing the trust deficit first.
Exactly.
You know, any dialogue, no dialogue at the current stage will be successful. There has to be an element of unilateralism shown by the center towards Kashmir, which will be an act of generosity. It will be demonstrative of a sense of accommodation for the hurt people of Kashmir. And I quite agree with my friend who represents the Kashmiri Pandit sentiment. Everybody will have to be spoken to. Not just, and may I say one thing, that and no one party, for instance, KPs cannot decide that who should be the other party to which the government should speak. Leave that to the wisdom of the government. You know, we often mix in this country popular democracy with institutional democracy. You see, we have elected a government. Let's trust our government. If they set up a dialogue table, and may I tell you one thing, Mr. Modi will face huge resistance within his party and within the broader Sangh Parivar if he were to take a concrete step at reaching out in the manner in which Mr. Vajpayee did, helped by Mr. Advani to a large extent. You know, and Mr. Advani too tried to become a latter-day Vajpayee, but that boomerang with the Sangh Parivar. So you see the position of certain elements in the Sangh Parivar, and they may have their own justifications for that. It's not the time to quarrel with them. It's a time to persuade them to come on board and get this dialogue continue.
Mr. Habibullah, no, the dialogue is this. That during the discussion which happened in the Rajya Sabha today, it is also many speakers pointed out, especially from speaking from people the members from Kashmir, pointing out about the trust deficit which Vinod also is talking about. How do we reduce this trust deficit? What is the process? You think that in the circumstances which we are in, Mr. Raina already feels that talking to separatists in this kind of an atmosphere is not the right thing to do. So how do we go about it?
The situation now is such that it will be necessary. The situation has already gone very far. It's gone well beyond the situation as existed, which was addressed by Mr. Vajpayee. What needs to be done is to be addressed certainly in the same spirit, but not necessarily in the same manner. We need to go much further. Why am I saying that? Because now, who has taken the lead? It is not the Hurriyat in the lead. So saying whether we talk to the separatists or not is, I think, rather missing the point. Whether we to the separatists, the mainstream, all sections of Kashmiri society will now have to be engaged in the dialogue, because the young people who have now taken to the streets are against the old separatist leadership, which they feel has let them down. They're against the political leadership, which has been elected, which they feel has betrayed them and has not done anything for them. They're against the central leadership. That is the trust deficit. So now what has to be done that all of us who seek the future of India together, and that of course includes an essential element, is the Kashmiri Pandits. And as I might mention in passing, that various efforts have been made by one government after another, including the present government, to see that there is some means in which the Kashmiri Pandits can be accommodated. And part of the fault certainly lies within the people of Kashmir themselves, that they have not come forward in the manner that they should have. But then how do you make them come forward? How do you address these issues? By talking to them. And you're not talking to people who are now willing to talk. The Hurriyat leadership, the others, when Mr. Vajpayee reached out to them, were willing to talk, or wanting to talk, or wished to be invited to talk. These young people today, and I'm in touch with many of them on the Facebook and things like that, are not willing to talk. They feel that talks have no purpose. So all those who are for talks, who are for restoring peace in Kashmir, must come together. And that will include the separatists, that will include every section of Kashmiri society and every section of Indian society. We must all together now try and reach out to our brethren, to our fellow citizens, to our fellow Indians in Jammu and Kashmir, including the Kashmiri Pandits, the Kashmiri Sikhs, and the few Christians that there may be, all working together with the majority community, the young Kashmiri Muslims, all the young people in Kashmir, because therein only lies the future. There is no other future without the people of the young people of Kashmir. Therefore, it is necessary to reach out to them.
Mr. Dulat, how did the problem start? The latest round of problem which we are encountering, which we are facing today, that you think that issue has not been addressed in the manner it should be addressed so far? Is that the reason why? And where is that where this whole process of addressing the issue of trust deficit should start?
You see, this we keep going backwards and forwards, but if we go back to 2008, there was trouble over the Amarnath land dispute.
Yes.
2010 again, we had very serious protests and demonstrations in which 120 boys were killed. And today, in some ways, is worse than ever before.
Why would you say that?
You see, it's like this. We talk of trust deficit and whatever. The point is that quite often Kashmir can change overnight. Sometimes it looks very good, and under the surface there is a lot which is happening. I was there in the first week of June, and there was a record number of tourists. Everything looked good. But you could sense that something is not all right and something is going to give. And there was a feeling of anger and discontent and what we call alienation. And so somehow in Delhi, and this is not only today, it's been there in the past as well, that when things look all right, we are quite happy with the status quo. And the status quo actually never favors us, it favors the other side. Because sooner or later something will happen, something will change, and then it will be exploited. Today Pakistan is all over us, it's all over Kashmir. The shots are being called by the Lashkar and the Jaish. But who invited them? How did they come in? Pakistan had lost the plot in Kashmir.
Exactly.
And we've invited them back again. So this is...
Why do you say that? How do you say that?
Because of what has happened in the last 30 days or so. And, the reaction over Burhan Wani's killing and whatever. But as I say, there was discontent simmering already. And because of the fact that we have stopped engaging with Kashmir.
No, are you trying to say that if it was not Burhan Wani, it would have been something else?
It may have been something else. Burhan Wani is just an accident, The point really is that when you stop engaging with Kashmir, or with Kashmiris, it's not good news. And let me put it like this, when you don't engage either with Pakistan or with Kashmir, then you can be sure there's going to be trouble.
Okay, Mr. Altaf Hussain, would you agree with that? Is that the situation there now? Is the situation ready for some kind of a revival of a political process? With the center taking note of it and coming, and will the people there who are involved in all these things ready to come to the table?
First of all, it's so many things. It has become so complex. First of all, what I have been seeing over the past few weeks is that neither the government of India nor the government in Jammu and Kashmir is trying to make an honest assessment of the situation. What is ailing Kashmir? Why are people frustrated? Why are they doing what they have been doing? Like the Prime Minister says that this development is the panacea for all the ills of Kashmir, and Mahbub Mufti was saying, give me peace and I'll give you jobs and all that. And then even today's debate in the Rajya Sabha, it was very enlightening. There were so many people who just came across as positive, thinking positive and all that. But again, there was the same thing. Like somebody would talk about the Kashmiri Pandit, somebody would talk of the Sikhs living in Kashmir. Yes, Kashmiri Pandits have their own problem which have to be addressed, but they cannot hold the whole peace process to ransom. It has to be a holistic approach to the problem. We cannot. This is where they have been erring all this time. Like, for instance, let me answer this question of Kashmiri Pandits. So the Prime Minister, the government of India was talking of having separate townships for the Kashmiri Pandits, and which the people of Kashmir, Muslim majority Kashmir, were very suspicious about. And so what happened is that these Kashmir, and then at the same time they were talking of Sainik colonies, they were talking of these temporary shelters for laborers who have been coming from other states like Bihar, UP, etc. So all these things were, and there was one more aspect. There's one on the one side that the average Kashmiri Muslim, because we have to face the fact it's the Muslim majority state. I won't call it a Muslim state. It's a Muslim majority state. And even a leader like Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah, whose detractors blame him for endorsing the states, when Maharaja signed that instrument of accession, Sheikh Abdullah supported it. And today his grave has to be guarded by the police and paramilitaries. So even Sheikh Abdullah had these fears of these Muslim majority character of the state being changed. And in 1982, his party, the National Conference, published a booklet which was titled "Conspiracy to Change the Majority Community into a Minority." So he had those fears because the census reports every 10 years showed the Muslim population in Jammu region of the state declining.
Mr. Hussain.
And today, even today, just give me one sec. Even today, when Jatinder Singh, the Minister of State in the TMU's office, he talked of so many things. Jammu is a problem. Jammu has its own problem. Ladakh has its own problem. They tried to confuse everything. And he spoke of refugees from West Pakistan. We have this Article 370. We have the autonomy within the Indian Union. I'm talking of the state. And it is the state of Jammu and Kashmir has no obligation to accommodate refugees from West Pakistan. I remember BJP leaders when Kashmiri Pandits
Mr. Hussain,
fled or whatever happened to them. Just give me, I will conclude.
Mr. Hussain, you are not addressing the question which I have asked.
Yes, I will come to that.
Do you think that this situation is ripe enough for a political process to begin?
Yes, political process, yes, because before that there have to be some confidence building measures.
Exactly.
And one important confidence building measure would be first to stop these killings, stop the use of pellet guns. We had the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh here recently, and he addressed a press conference. He met some people, and he said he had given instructions to the paramilitaries not to use pellet guns. And the very next day he was snubbed by the Director General of CRPF, who said they couldn't stop using pellet guns. And this does not he does not
Mr.
create
Hussain,
confidence among people.
Mr. Hussain, I have to get other people also. I have to get other people also on this. Okay, Mr. Raina, ceasefire. He's talking of a ceasefire, or to bring down the tensions. You think the government of India should focus on that?
See, first I will address to question of Mr. Hussain. He's rightly said that government of India should cease fire. Killing of people should be not there. But as far as we are concerned, as far as whole situation is concerned, all Kashmiri Muslims or young generation is on road. See what to do on ground level. who invited them to fight on roads, and who invited them to fight with security forces. So under these circumstances, they himself are inviting this process, and how it is possible that dialogue will be there. Under these circumstances, I don't think dialogue should be there. They are following the calendar of Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani. They are not following the calendar of Mehbooba Mufti. They are not following the government. There is no government. I don't think there is a government. The people of Kashmir at this moment are following the calendar of Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani. When Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani's calendar is going to follow, see how we can approach them.
Okay. Vinod?
Well,
this is a serious problem. He has a point there.
No, listen, please, for God's sake. I mean, the fact today is...
The challenge before the government.
The fact today is that in the valley, there is a serious threat to pro-India forces, good, bad or indifferent, of they evaporating altogether, or they losing credibility forever if we do not immediately set up a dialogue process. And I quite agree that there has to be a set of confidence building measures. I call them unilateral concessions by the government. Not concessions. I mean, actually, you know, a government should give its people. Kashmir cannot be an integral part of India on paper, or in the Constitution of India, or in the 1994 resolution passed by Parliament. You see, these are all very pious, very brave words. But where is the action on the ground?
No,
that's the question I'm asking.
Yes.
You see, so in my view, immediately, as was suggested in the House today, you see, one of the best interventions came from Dr. Karan Singh, who said that, look, let us accept one thing, that Kashmir did not merge with the Indian state. It signed an instrument of succession, and there was accession, and there was a mechanism built into 370 on how there would be interaction between the state and the center. Now, I think that we could start with not using certain terminologies in the public discourse insofar as the government is concerned, or its coalition partners are concerned, in the state and at the center, and also other political parties are concerned.
Okay.
Say, for instance,
which one?
Like you look at the agenda for governance, commits the BJP that it is not going to tinker with 370. But many other elements, many other organizations of the BJP and the RSS keep on harping on 370.
I think, Mr. Dulat, very quick last words. Confidence building measures, is that where the government can start with? And what are 1, 2, 3 confidence building measures which can bring people to the table?
I don't know what will happen unilaterally, but I think what can happen unilaterally is you start talking. You know, this business of not talking does not make any sense. And I don't believe
and
that...
talk to all the stakeholders.
All the stakeholders, including the separatists. I keep harping
What about Pakistan?
Must talk to Pakistan. Of course you must talk to Pakistan. Because not talking is really not an option. It's probably the most unwise option. If you start talking to the Hurriyat, and I don't believe that the Kashmiris are not prepared to talk. I've never known of Kashmiris not being prepared to talk. Once you start talking, it's a long process. Then the rest will evolve. Confidence building evolves. You know, it's a question of give and take.
Okay.
When we start talking.
Okay. On that note, we'll end. But today's discussion in the Parliament, also in the Rajya Sabha, many members were talking about a delegation of MPs going to Kashmir and talking to the people there. Maybe that is where the government can make its first move and towards some kind of a reconciliation. Talking, as Mr. Dulat says, is what is necessary at this point of time. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture, same time.